looking at the sky, wondering where I stand. So much on my mind in this crazy land. Estolian faith calling me, echoes in my head. Paris lights they gleam, pulling me instead.
A daughter of Estolia is the name given to any woman who could, in the right circumstances, hold within her the soul of one of the sons of Zacharias. Alcibiades Contraire Zacharion, Capitulo 82.
Max looked around curiously. It was always a culture shock to go from the pastoral simplicity of Estolia to any modern city. Every time he left the island, he was reminded of why he was disinclined to leave it permanently. San Francisco always seemed to emphasize the differences between the two cultures. It was, by far, the most colorful, frenetic, and multifaceted city he had ever visited. He hired a luxury vehicle complete with a driver for the time he planned to be in the city. He had an international driver's license, but driving in San Francisco required more concentration than he wished to devote to getting around. The car pulled to the curb and Max smiled in anticipation. It was 3 years since he last saw his best friend. He told the driver when he would next need him and took his case out of the trunk. He decided to climb the 4 flights of stairs to his friend's apartment, glad to stretch his legs after the long flight from Estolia. His friend was waiting for him with the door open.
Max.
Dwayne's welcome was enthusiastic. The 2 men hugged briefly before Dwayne showed him into the apartment.
How was your flight?
He asked, adding,
Would you like something to drink?
Do you have any of the Daniele I sent you?
Max asked him. Dwayne laughed and said,
I forgot you only drink wine.
He poured himself a drink before opening a cabinet and pulling out a bottle of the golden wine. He uncorked it and poured his friend a glass, before leading him towards an arrangement of chairs in front of the fireplace. After a few minutes of small talk about his flight, Max leaned back in his chair and prompted,
Tell me everything, Dwayne.
I never thought I'd get a beautiful woman to love me,
Dwayne said in an awed voice. Max laughed at that. He felt the muscles across his shoulders begin to relax. He loved his relatives, on both sides of his family, but he did not realize how stressed he was by the pull of differing family loyalties until he was in Dwayne's uncomplicated presence. He had enjoyed the time they spent as roommates, the long debates they had, the discussions about love, marriage, and personal appearance. Dwayne laughingly categorized his own looks as a 10, the ultimate in average. Average face, brown eyes, brown hair, average height, and boring, mediocre build. He believed that men with his looks only got beautiful women by wearing a green suit, Dwayne's unique euphemism for being rich. For Max, appearance was not important. Dwayne assured him that he was only a 5 on the scale of average. He had dark brown, almost black hair, a color that Max cursed because you could see his scalp through the thinning locks. He would have preferred to be ugly instead of average if he could have kept his hair. He was 2 inches taller than his friend and had amber-colored eyes.
So your Penelope is beautiful?
He asked. Dwayne's expression got dreamy.
Max, Pen is gorgeous. I keep expecting to discover it was all a joke. When you meet her tomorrow, you'll see what I mean. Though I do admit she isn't the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. That honor goes to her kid sister, Liar.
You told me her sister was hideous. Or does she have 2 sisters?
I did not meet Liar until after I spoke with you.
Dwayne frowned.
Her parents led me to believe she was a real gargoyle. I'm hoping Pen doesn't agree with her family. They're deluded if they think she's ugly.
I'm sorry I missed the wedding rehearsal.
Max said. He did not really care how beautiful or hideous his friend's future sister-in-law was.
From what I have heard, the Old Night is the ultimate wedding venue in California. What happened to your plans to elope to Las Vegas?
Penn's family planned to throw the wedding bash of the century for their daughter, and that was the price I had to pay to marry her.
Where will you live after the honeymoon?
Max asked.
That, my friend, gave me the courage to marry her. I just got a 3-year assignment to Barcelona, working as an executive for the Galaxy Group. We'll return here for a week after the honeymoon to pack up our stuff and spend more time with her parents before flying out to Spain. I can handle a week with the in-laws if I get 3 years living in a foreign country without them.
Are they really that frightful?
Dwayne picked up his drink and downed the entire thing before grimacing at his friend.
They seemed like ideal in-laws when I first met them. A guy couldn't ask for better.
He snorted before adding,
Then I began to sense there was something weird about them. They told me they had Liar's DNA tested, and they were certain the hospital switched her with another child at birth. They kept talking about how fat she was, with frizzy hair and any number of other genetic flaws. The more they spoke, the more I wondered if she could really be that awful.
I thought you said she was beautiful.
Max said in confusion.
She is. Anyway, enough about me. You were going to explain why you were able to make it to my wedding after all.
My cousin Nico decided to visit an Estolian community in Canada after visiting his brother and sister here in San Francisco. As the future leader of our faith, he will meet with the religious leaders of the region. We are both celebrating our 30th birthdays this month.
Dwayne snapped his fingers.
That's right. I remember when you dated Peyton Villiers back when we played JV baseball. You told me then that you'd never get married before you were 30. I didn't think you'd be able to resist the temptation to marry her.
He whistled at the memory of Max's college girlfriend.
You have a good memory.
Max flushed. He had been tempted, but something held him back. From marrying her, at least.
She is married now.
Max said.
To a Major League Baseball player. She knew I was not serious.
So you flew here with your cousin so you could find yourself a wife?
Dwayne's expression grew thoughtful. Max shrugged.
I do not feel pressured like my cousin. His religious position requires him to marry on his birthday, if possible. I am less anxious. Estolian men marry when they are 30. By that age, most of us are anxious to get on with it, so we always try to find the right woman and have the first of our marriage ceremonies on our 30th birthday. So long as I am still 30 when I marry, that is all that matters.
His cousins on his father's side were not Estolian, and they scorned his Estolian faith. When he spent time with them, they urged him to renounce it. Max didn't know which side of his family would eventually win his allegiance. Dwayne poured himself another drink and brought the bottle of wine over to top off Max's glass. The two men toasted the end of Dwayne's life as a single man, and their conversation drifted to mutual acquaintances. Shortly thereafter, they said goodnight. When Max turned off the light and closed his eyes, the clarity of his thoughts coalesced. He would do everything he could to fulfill his obligations as an Estolian nearing his 30th birthday. He owed it to his ancestors to fulfill his part of the grand bargain that Zacharias made with deity on the lonely shores of Estolia. The peace infusing his soul confirmed his decision. He would enjoy the blessings that were part of the bargain. As much as he cared for his friend Dwayne, he also pitied him for the shallow, ephemeral imitation of true marriage he would embark upon the next day.
Torn between the stars, faith a-flying fast, heart in two wide parts, how long will this last? Prayer of city lights, keeping me awake, both paths in my sight, which road do I take? French family for one, or faith to fill my soul, feeling there's no one to break me out this hole.